Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 243. As always, I am one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by the Rocky and Bullwinkle of L.A., Jesse and Alex.
Rocky and Bullwinkle!
No, we're not Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Which one of us is Rocky? What are we, Boris and Natasha?
We're Boris and Natasha, 100%.
Mathis, we must get Bigfoot and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel. Yeah, that's us.
You remember when Robert De Niro was in the Bullwinkle movie?
I forgot there was a Bullwinkle movie. Oh, my God. Holy fuck. I think I saw it in the drive-in.
Yeah. The drive-in? What are you, a 1950s teenager?
But yeah, during the summer, my mom, and my dad and my siblings, we would go to like drive-in every month.
That's honestly, I'm not even going to shit on that. That's too precious and beautiful of a family memory.
Thank you very much.
This episode, I just want to go. I'm taking the reins here for a minute. I just want to say this episode was created by special request. This is a special episode. It's created by special request from our friends at the actual Chilluminati secret organization.
Oh fuck, they're back.
Yeah, they're not back. Trust me, they've always been here.
Well, I should say they're back publicly for a second time.
Yes, and this episode is not part of my grand plan that I've been touting, so I'm going to spare you the convoluted details of that plan at this time. So this is just an extra episode that's kind of like Dreams Part 3, right? Because we had.
Will this make any sense?
Yes, we simply had so many. This is simple.
I mean, but to be fair, Alex, you also said the green stone would make sense.
It does. You just have to look. Okay, look, this is not too complicated. All you need to know is we had so many listener responses to our recent duology of episodes on the various mysteries and metaphysical concepts surrounding our dreams that I was sent another letter, this time directly from the head of the Chilluminati themselves, an entity who's known only as the Most Chill. And here's an introductory letter from the Most Chill themselves from Mathis to read.
I hate this so much.
And this is absolutely perfect because, guys, this is big. You guys can't see this at home, but my smoothie just showed up.
Whoa.
And that's the reward from the Chilluminati for a job well done.
Yeah, think about it. Okay.
I wish I was getting smoothies from the Chilluminati, but I am not.
I know. This is for Mathis to read. Here we go.
Okay, I'm excited. The light roar of airplane engines in the cloudless blue sky. Hot, salty, sweating beeflinks charring slowly as they turn on the grill. Meat smell incense mingles with white weed smoke and the chiming musical exchange of enlightened ideas in the afternoon. Patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod.
Huh, that was weird. Anyway, there's a second piece of stationery that was also in the envelope to read. I think this one is just to introduce today's special guest. I'll read that for you guys right now. Here it goes. I'm shuffling through my papers here. Just give me 1 second. I got to just find this. Here it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It's really poorly printed. Test subject Pat Contri, known aliases The Punk, The NES Punk, Assassin Golgo 13. Subject has been experiencing violent and unsettling dream world activity and has been keeping an Onironauts journal for several months for official Chilluminati edutainment review. Included below is an abridged excerpt from test subject's bio from Google Books. Pat Contri is a video game player, collector, and historian who has had an interest in Nintendo since receiving an NES console for Christmas in 1987. I was born the next year, by the way. He is known primarily online for his web shows, Pat the NES Punk, Flea Market Madness, and the Completely Unnecessary podcast in his spare time, which isn't much. He enjoys the gym, eating numerous nachos, and hanging out with an old Jersey hippie named Frank. There's also a section here that says additional information, and it just says, it's a list of things. It says, Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library, Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the SNES Library, 15th YouTube Anniversary Video, ? Don't know what that means. And coming soon, Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library, pre-order now. Wow, that was a really crazy intro.
Chilluminati does their background checks very thoroughly before you're allowed on.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Pat.
Thank you for that concise and very overly, ambitious intro. What website was that again?
That was a letter.
No, yeah, the letter was from the Chilluminati, but I guess they pulled your bio from Google Books.
Nope, there was a letter. You wouldn't know this information. You can't just make it up as you go along.
It just says it's here. It says it was pulled from Google Books. That's just in there. I don't know.
All right, Google Books is off my Christmas list.
Welcome back to the show. If you don't remember, Pat was on a while ago. We did a house in San Diego that was haunted by the spirit of some crazy psychic sort of musician guy, artist guy, really interesting stuff. He's back again now. And we were talking a couple months ago about dreams and the fact that I was doing a dreams episode. And Pat literally has been tracking his dream activity in a journal for the past couple months just so that we could do this episode. So hype for that. And I'm ready to get into it. As the most chill said, today's episode is going to be both a look into our guest, aka test subject Pat's twisted mind. Thank you for coming back to the show, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not regretting it at all right now. Okay.
The Chilluminati have requested that as a group, we try and analyze. Sorry, I'm just trying to read this. Try and analyze not just Pat's dreams. It's printed very poorly. It's on like a ditto paper. Like it's not like a printer paper.
Yeah, it's almost like they're making it up as they go along.
It's
That's
like
weird.
a ditto paper. They're saying, but some of the dreams are other test subjects. I mean, listeners posted on our Reddit at r/Chilluminati pod as well. But first, Pat, if you don't mind, the Chilluminati requested we go over the list that you included in your report of recurring dreams. Okay, if that, I feel like that's a good intro, to the segment.
So wait, the Chilluminati gave our guest homework?
No, he just undertook this himself. There was no cajoling or manipulation through his dreams or
a little
thoughts.
cajoling ain't so bad every once in a
He
while.
just did that of his own volition.
There was no overt bribery, but it happened. So yes, I started recording dreams here and there since end of November. So it's been almost 4 months.
Wow.
I have had a lot of recurring dreams since I've been a child. So if you'd like, I can go through them for you right now.
Well, I've actually got them right here. And actually, and guys, feel free to chime in on what
you hacked my dream journal somehow, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't do it. So I just want you guys to feel free to chime in on what you think these might signify. After all, this is a very valuable data for our secret purpose, or so I've heard. First one, quote, falling and waking up. Falling and waking up. That's your first recurring dream. Kind of a common one. What's the vibe on that?
Yeah. I've had similar things. I've had a lot of I think I'm able to fly, and then I'll jump, and I don't fly, and I plummet. It's that kind of fun. Makes me jump out of bed.
I feel like I have these dreams a lot, but I don't remember the actual dream part, and I just kind of thought I was doing one thing, and then I wake up from having fallen. Do you know what I mean? Is that what you mean?
No, I don't. I mean, I like a dream where I think I can fly, and
Then you just fly?
then I don't, and then I wake up when I plummet to the earth.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, Pat. What do you mean by falling and waking up? What kind of stuff? Are you falling off cliffs, off buildings? What's the vibe?
It's usually it's almost like I see myself in sort of a third person art style. Was it Bill? The Bill Plimpton art style?
Yeah, sure.
Like that sort of art style where it's not photorealistic, and then it's a combination of actually feeling the sensation. It feels like falling, and then as you either hit the ground or get closer, you wake up. But there have been at least 1 or 2 times where I could feel myself as waking up. It feels like I've hit the bed and physically reacted to bouncing off of it. And I've talked to other people that have experienced something similar, a similar sensation where it's almost psychosomatic, where either your body is actually telling you that it's physically happening, or maybe you position your body while dreaming to actually hit off your bed almost as a sensation, because it
feels biological when it happens to me. It feels like my body is trying to stop myself from falling down. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, I remember waking up one time and my bed bounced as I woke up. I remember that. It was wow, okay. So did I sort of do a mini jump on my side or something while I was dreaming? So something really strange.
Really interesting. I've never fully I don't know that I do much moving in my dreams.
Have you ever asked?
No, but I do sleep next to someone every night. So
that's what I'm saying. Have you ever had that? I've definitely had that conversation. When you were dreaming, you were doing crazy movements. And I'm I'm like a dog. I feel I'm running in the field. I guess I don't know.
Apparently, I talk a lot. The other day, I don't remember what it was. I said something he probably it's the same bastard that pissed in my cheese or something like that.
Damn, dude, you got enemies.
She asked me a question while I was sleeping. And I was it's probably the same bastard that pissed in my cheese.
You're doing Mad Libs in your sleep? What is that?
Yeah. I have no idea. Second recurring dream says, quote, running away from a bully in my neighborhood and barely moving. And with that one, you included a link to a dreamyobsession.com article, which I'll drop in the chat right now for you guys to look at as we go if you want. So here's the link to that right here for you guys, but also here's a quote from that for Jesse to read, and let's see if that resonates with anybody.
Dreaming about running but not moving proves that you are individual, anxious, inquisitive, spontaneous, original. You are very proud of your differences. Always ready for unusual activities. You hardly endorse a moral code that is not yours. That's interesting. Dreaming about running but not moving indicates you are simple, open-minded, altruistic, and peaceful, but you like heterogeneity?
Wait. You're somehow both inquisitive and spontaneous, but also very simple. You're simple.
I'm the everyman.
This is very vague. This is like a horoscope. And complication in your human relationships. Dream about running but not moving shows that you are an idealistic. You want to renew people, things, society according to your own theories, which you tell easily. You need vividness in your life. Dreaming about running but not moving proves that you need to be passionate about something, revolt, innovations, or on a much more esoteric level, the search for your genuineness, your inner life.
I want to be passionate about leading a revolt.
That's what I hear.
What?
Yeah.
Like a revolution, like you want to change the way it's done.
Grab your muskets, gentlemen.
Like that last one, straight up, the idea of running but standing your ground is a very like overly used trope. And so the idea of them being like, you're leading a revolt is very just dude with the bags in Tiananmen Square kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, just like, I'm not moving. It's okay, but it's a dream. So what does it mean?
You're always in motion, but you're imposing your own moral code. You're not giving in to anybody else's sort of like philosophy. You're kind of like sticking to your own guns. And heterogeneity, by the way, it means like diversity, like in your life, like like different things. So you kind of like, what that means, I think, is that you like kind of like to have lots of different things going on, lots of different experiences, lots of different types of people around you, and that's like, you know, part of your desire to have a vivid, meaningful life.
Right, but the entire thing I read is multiple. Each one starts out dreaming about running but not moving, right? Or then dreaming about running but not moving, and then dreaming about running but not moving, and it's 4 different versions of the exact same dream. Then they're all over the place.
I'll tell you what, this article had a lot of ads that I had to close before I could read it. But that
sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not endorse this article.
Yeah.
I just included it as just to put it out there, just to throw it out there. I didn't know it'd pop up.
Is that you?
I endorse all the positive attributes, and I decline all the negative about that. So there you go.
Okay.
Very individualistic of you, Pat.
I will say this about the dreams. That dream. It usually occurs back in my neighborhood in New Jersey growing up, at like the exact same layout next to my house. And so for some reason it's associated with, I think, with my childhood somehow, which a lot of my recurring dreams, or some, as you see, are. So that's something to it.
Okay.
And I was always afraid of being bullied as a child. There were neighborhood bullies here and there. I was the youngest boy on the block. There was like 8, 9 boys, and I was the youngest by at least 2 years. So if they were going to pick on someone, it was always me. So maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's where the idea of walking to the beat of your own drum was born. Maybe you realized that you needed to fight for yourself because you were just like a little kid on the block, and you needed your own set of rules to survive.
Yeah, it was weird. Just as an aside, but being around like boys that were between 2 and like 5, 6 years older, especially when you're like 6 or 7, they're like giants to you. So most of the time they were cool to me, but hormones with teenagers and preteens, if they were pissed off or weird, they just pushed me around out of nowhere. Right. But you had to accept it because like those are the kids on the block.
Kids in private are wild. Like I can barely remember what it was like, but it seemed like it was pretty wild. We used to
you were a mess, dude.
We used to go into like an abandoned treehouse that we found in the woods and like hang out in there. I cannot believe we didn't get bit by spiders.
We used to ride bikes into a pit that was filled with water. There could have been anything in that pit. We would ride off the embankment and jump into the. We could have died multiple times.
Like a walk to remember. Oh God.
Yeah.
That builds character.
Yeah.
I guess.
Next recurring dream I have on my list, I think is probably going to require some explanation. It says one Freddy dream stabbed in the hand. What is that?
Oh, there wasn't a recurring dream. I just put that down. I remember only having one Nightmare on Elm Street dream ever. Being an 80s child, as Jesse is as well, Nightmare on Elm Street was gigantic in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
It was there was a movie every other year for the entire 80s, going into the early 90s. So I never had a lot of nightmares where I was being harmed, except I remember that one happening when I was probably 10 years old.
Did you feel anything like when you woke up?
Yes, I felt it I felt the pain in my hand. I did.
That's awesome. The dream's not awesome, but when I was a kid, I had a dream where I was stabbed in the stomach, and when I woke up, I had like a terrible stomach ache. And that always fascinated me because the human body's crazy.
Chicken or the egg? Did the stomach thing happen first and tell your brain the dream?
Mm-hmm.
Is it fucked up that like branding is like getting into your dreams? Like Freddy, the like character? That's like fucked up, right? I don't know. Like before, it used to be like
with Freddy though. No, with Freddy though, like I feel like that's part of it, right?
That's
like,
his MO.
That's not fucked up. But if you were dreaming about like Ronald McDonald shoving cheeseburgers down your throat until you died, then maybe like the marketing's gone too far.
It's just weird. It's just weird that it's a monster came after Pat in his dreams that's owned by Universal Pictures. Like he couldn't make a.
No. That was New Line Cinema. That was Plucky New Line Cinema back then.
Excuse me, Plucky New Line Cinema at the time. But let's say this.
Yeah.
Let's say this. Like he can't make a movie about his own dream because it features a character that's owned by Plucky New Line Cinemas.
Yeah, but you can do it like James Gunn did and make like a weird version of it that's kind of like Freddy Krueger, just called like Freddy
Booger.
Yeah,
Freddy Booger.
Because like he made that Superman movie, but it was like evil Superman.
I'm just saying, it's just weird. It's just weird that like where we were talking about the dream world and we were talking about like the dreamscape and the ability to like go there and the fact that people can like communicate while one person is asleep and one person is awake and they can still communicate and how crazy that is.
Well, we're gonna tentpole this. What X-Men can travel through dreams?
The one that walks through walls did it in the Days of Future Past. Kitty Pryde. Can't she do something with that?
She moved Wolverine's consciousness through the past.
Emma Frost can do it.
All right. Well, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, pretty much any powerful psychic.
Oh, Professor X could do it. He can do anything.
Yeah.
Dude, I like Egg. Egg's cool.
Egg?
Yeah, and the guy who make eggs.
Yeah. He used to be called Gold Balls, and then they cleaned him up a little bit, and he's called Egg now.
Thank you to today's sponsor, Babbel. I'm gonna stress you out real quick. I want you to fast forward to the end of 2024, and I know you might be like, "Wow, but wait, Mike, the 2024 just began. Did it though? Did it just begin? Because we're more than halfway through March at this point, and time moves forward. So end of 2024, I want you to think of your goals and what you can do right now to give yourself the best chance of succeeding. And if you're like 1 in 5 Americans, then you want to learn a new language, and then you should absolutely get Babbel, which is, a great way to learn a new language. Thank you again to Babbel. Yeah, do you like that? It's like kind of a superpower in my ad, right? Every time I say Babbel, I get to it's like a sound effect. It's pretty cool. Ready? Did you know learning actually makes a sound? It's true. Listen, Babbel. And yeah, that's what I'd like to see. You know what I'm saying? So if you're one of those people who wants to learn a new language by the end of 2024, don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. So yeah, Babbel's designed by real people for real conversations. This is pretty smart, right? Babbel's tips and tools are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching so you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world. And Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold if you need to know that other people are actually using it. Plus, all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. So here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get 55% off of your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/chill. Get 55% off at babbel.com/chill, spelled BABBEL.com/chill for that 55% off. Tell your friends, tell your family. It's limited time. Get it now. Rules and restrictions may apply. Thank you to Babbel again for sponsoring today's video.
I was at a barcade this past weekend, and while I was there, I ended up playing the original X-Men arcade game that had 6 players on it, right? The 6-player one.
Yeah.
I'm playing with a guy next to me who's never seen X-Men. He doesn't know a damn thing about X-Men. And I was like, I want you to tell me your thoughts as we're playing. And halfway through, when you're done fighting robots and lizard men and pterodactyl men show up, he's like, what the hell is this? And I was like, X-Men, baby!
Yeah, it's not even inaccurate. It's like a great adaptation. Speaking of licensed characters getting into your dreams episode, isn't that crazy that just happened? Next one is, speaking of nightmares, quote, Nightmare of grade school and being late for the first purple bus and seeing it drive away from the parking lot.
So
Sounds like a Zodiac letter, but
well, I thought you were going to read them directly. I thought you let me explain them, but okay. It's a man that's scrolling their dreams until they woke up.
Yeah.
So I went to a Catholic grade school.
Me too.
And all the buses, they'd had literally like the 6th and 7th graders. It was like K to 8 would have to hold up a poster with a color on it so that the small children knew what bus to get on. So they weren't. And I was the purple bus, and it was always the first bus to leave. So when you got out of school, you had less than 10 minutes to get to your bus. And it was always weird being a small child that I don't want to miss the bus, even though your mom could pick you up later, And it happened one time where I had to stay after and talk to someone. I forget if it was a nurse or an administrator. If I wasn't causing trouble. I only got in trouble once ever in 8th grade, beating up some kid in front of half the school. Another story. But it did happen one time, and it was horrifying being 6 or 7 and crying, seeing the buses leave, even though you knew your mom could pick you up. It was a weird feeling.
That is actually similar to a story where my mom, I think I might have told this on this show before, where my mom left me at school and my brother and sister were like, "Mom, stop driving. You left Alex at school." And she was like, "He's hiding in the trunk. Shut up." And she kept driving and they were like, "Mom, no, seriously." And she looked in the mirror and I was running down the street after her.
It's like all I see is child.
Traumatizing.
Little Alex is a child in all respects except for your face. You're just your adult Alex face.
It's Alex as a child, but wearing the exact same clothes he's wearing right now. Just everything's a little oversized. He's running.
Yeah. I felt like I was gonna have to live at the school fucking forever. You know what I mean? I thought I was never gonna have.
Oh man,
what? Why?
No, that would have sucked.
I was hyper independent.
You love being at school.
It's because my parents both worked late hours, so I grew up basically like a just kid on the street, man.
Well, I was 5 years old at that time. When eventually I grew up into a proper latchkey.
Yeah, but Jesse at 5 years old is on the street, get out of here. This is my town.
There were multiple times when we go grocery shopping or to the mall or to whatever, I just walk off, and my parents had to call Susan Cox, we have a child we found here, that kind of stuff. And I was like, no. I want to be I can do this. And I just wander off.
Jesse was out there freaking Chris Hansening people to buy him free things. And just when they want to take him home, he's like, gotta go. Sorry,
I feel like you never watched that show.
I was going to say,
no, but you were just a child.
What do you think Chris Hansen's job is?
You just use Chris Hansen as a verb. I don't think that was possible.
Well, to entrap pedophiles. You were trying to.
No, I'm letting you know that was never on my mind as a child.
No, you were just again, you were smart. You got the free candy, but you went back home after.
Well, guys, I gotta go. This has been fun. I'll see you again in a couple of years.
That's why this show's a content warning before every episode.
Last 2 recurring dreams we have on the list are still on the school theme, and they're kind of related, so I'm going to go into both of them together. First one is, quote, bad dream of being in college on Sunday night and having a 10-page essay due the next day. Happened once in reality. I know that vibe. And the other is, quote, bad dream of being in high school and not knowing where my locker was.
That one occurs at least once or twice a year. Or I remember that going back, because that didn't happen, obviously, in high school. Yeah, one time I forgot my locker combination somehow, and they had to undo the lock. But there's a lot of dreams I have in high school. I'm walking out of the school library, and all of a sudden I'm I have no idea where my locker is, and the next class is starting. Jesse's shaking his head. That must happen to him as well.
I still have that dream. Yeah.
It's weird, right?
Mm-hmm. See, I have similar, but it's not for school. It's waiter dreams. So I used to be a waiter for 11, 12 years. And one of the big nightmares I have all the time is everybody called out. It's just me, and the entire restaurant is my responsibility. We're on a wait, and the managers are expecting me to be flawless, and it's just pure anxiety. I can imagine it's similar of just no.
Do you think that on a subconscious level as human beings, because we don't have animals trying to eat us all the time anymore, that we replace that stress goes there, and so we just have that dream every so often because it's that's when you were your most stressed, dude. So now
I have a YouTube one where I used to do a completely researched, written, shot, and edited show every single week for years, and I just wake up and think that I forgot to upload the episode or I lost the footage or anything like that. I guess like it comes into the time in your life where like you had the most like energy, I guess. Like,
high school sucked for me. It was a horrible time. When people say high school is the best time of your life, they can go to hell.
I'm with you on that, my friend. I had that same thought all through high school. I'm like, how is this anything worth remembering? This all sucks.
Yeah, it was terrible. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
The horrors of high school.
what about that time on seniors night when you guys put all that soap in that big fountain? What about that time when your team won the big game?
My class was the class that lost the 21-year win streak in Division A hockey in our senior year.
My class was the nicest class in
That's
the school
so
that we
funny.
didn't do a senior prank because we thought it'd be too mean to the janitors.
You were like, we honestly love school, so we're actually
Like we
good on
didn't
the
love
prank.
school. We were just like too nice. And the year after us, they almost burnt down the school. So like those are the differences.
So now we have an intimate knowledge of what Pat's mind is seeking in the dream world. So let's take a second. We'll bring Pat over onto our side.
No, wait, Alex. What do you think Pat's mind is seeking in the dream world from all of that? I want to know what you
mean.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I think he wants peace. I think he's looking for a denouement of his.
Couldn't you say that for everyone though?
Is this a therapy session
Yeah,
now
what's
that I
happening?
waltzed into? Unannounced?
I mean, it kind of is a therapy. Like
It's an intervention.
you'll see.
I mean,
like,
I'm open to it. Do you take Kaiser Permanente? Just you know, what's the copay?
I would rather do it for free just to not deal with Kaiser Permanente anyway.
Okay.
To do. There's disorder. I mean, what are dreams but a way for us to sort out our chaotic thoughts, right?
What?
Sure.
Really quick.
That's a theory.
Yeah, sure. If you say something confident enough.
Really quick. Just like where is this going?
It's a dream episode. A lot of people wrote in, and so we're going to go over their dreams like right
I
now.
understand, but this is coming off of you talking about like people and their like weird dreams also being extensions of what is reality, what isn't, and future
Yep.
tell. Where is this episode? We're just like
We might be floating through dreams like SpongeBob does in that episode where he visits people's
Yeah.
dreams, dude. We're SpongeBob today.
I love the chaos.
Do you guys not like joy? Do you guys
I
not
love
like?
fun, bro?
I thought there was some big thing you were going to reveal, and all it is just like
I said at the top. This is not part of my weird trick thing so I'm not even going to explain.
yeah, but you always say that, and then you trick us, and we're like, okay, we got fooled.
Yep, got us this time.
That is strange. All right. Now that we've got an intimate knowledge of what Pat's mind is seeking in the dream world, let's jump over to the subreddit for a
For a
second.
minute, I thought it was going to be like, let's take a look at Jesse, and he just like knows what you dream.
From a post from Ducks in a Fridge called Dreams of the Past for Mathis to read.
All right, dreams of the
And
past.
now Pat's going to be on our side of the dream interpretation table, and we're going to all talk about what we think this dream means.
So I'm writing this just after listening to both This Man episodes because it sparked a memory of a dream and weird experience I had when I was younger. Take this with the idea that this is something that happened when I was quite young and that human memory is fallible, especially for younger people. So when I was around the age of 6 or 7, I remember having a strange dream. In the dream, I was almost viewing everything from a third-person perspective. I was looking into my childhood home's garage. In it, my dad was working on his motorcycle he had at the time. Standing there also was what I thought to be myself. Directly after this, I saw a giant crow fly into the garage and perch on the motorcycle my dad was working on, startling us both, and my dad reassured me it was okay and to be still. And just like that, it flew away. That's all I remember of the dream. Later that night, I told my dad the story of the dream I had, and he seemed shocked and explained that an event very similar to this had happened to him once. My dad had gotten rid of the motorcycle far before I was ever born, after someone ran him off the road, so I had never seen it. He explained to me that our neighbor used to have a pet crow that he would let out sometimes, to the particular distaste of the rest of the neighborhood. The crow name was Iggy or Ziggy, something to that nature. The weirdest part to me was that the person I saw in the dream wasn't me, but my older brother, who looked very similar to me at the same age. So I had a dream of a thing that happened before I was ever alive that my dad and my brother both said they remembered. With all the talk about seeing the future in dreams, it makes me wonder if I just remember the story my dad told me as a dream, or maybe something else stranger. Either way, it felt apt to tell the story in light of the last episodes.
Okay, the weirdest part was the pet crow, but
That's not something that I have ever thought about in my life.
I think that what's interesting is that you would think you would remember that as a child, your neighbor having a pet crow or hearing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
maybe that wasn't conjured out of thin air. Maybe the kid just forgot that they had heard that.
I think the weirder thing is maybe the motorcycle, but if he had known or his dad ever mentioned the motorcycle to him a few times while he was, growing up, I can see because leaving the garage open to have a bird fly in isn't the most like unique idea in the world. It's not like it's something that like not could be dreamed up.
What's interesting is that the story itself is very, very simple, and it really could be just based on the last bit for sure. Just a story you heard or something you heard in the past, or you've been told enough times you had the dream, because there's nothing else here that like if it ended with, and then there was a motorcycle accident, and then you could go with like the crow was a bad omen like that. There's none of that. It's just a crow showed up and it's like, okay, it's probably a story you heard. And then your brain like fit it into a dream one night.
One thing that's strange that I noticed is that in the earlier part of the story, they refer to themselves as the person that their dad talks to. My dad reassured me it was okay and to be still. And just like that, it flew away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then later, they're like, the person in the dream wasn't me, but it was my older brother who they felt themselves as when they wrote it down the first time. And so I don't know, but maybe that has to do with the third person perspective thing that they were talking about at the top. Because Pat, you also said that your dream was kind of in a third person perspective, your falling dream. I've never had a dream like that. And you said that when you saw it in that perspective, you were seeing it in an art style.
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe you're witnessing it. Maybe like you're getting a recording from someone in the room, like, in Cyberpunk 2077, where you like
You've never had a third person dream?
No.
Really? Oh. Now that's weird. I think most people have them.
I don't even understand. How do you even perceive?
I mean, not that you can remember anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I can't even fathom how you would perceive it.
You're just
honestly.
watching something from the outside.
But like in VR, like you're like in it, or are you looking?
You're
at
watching
it
a movie of yourself. Basically.
Yeah, you're just watching.
Watching a movie of yourself.
Is there a screen?
It's through your eyeballs.
No.
You're just watching it happen through your eyeballs.
You're just watching it happen.
Technically,
that doesn't make sense.
Okay, Alex, think VR. Think VR, but you don't have the like conscious awareness to actually move your head around and look at other things. You're stuck looking at yourself in VR.
Everything's just happening in front of you, and you're just witnessing it. You're the watcher, dude.
What kind of FOV are we talking about?
Like 70, 80?
It's your dream, my dude. I don't know.
What happens when you read a book, Alex? You imagine it. You can conjure up images in your head, and you're watching things happen?
In it. I'm not in it.
So you couldn't imagine a scenario where you're like a character in something you are watching?
I can, but I've never experienced a dream that wasn't from my own perspective. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Please don't. Don't ask about aspect ratio or anything like that.
That's what I'm asking. It's just like from the thing that's vexing me about it. Is that like, if you're not a person in the dream, what are you?
Yeah, observer. You're an outside observer.
Good question, dude.
You still feel like quote unquote. Well, I imagine feel.
But if you don't have eyes, what angle are you? Is it cinematic?
It could be like you're just watching something occur. It could be anything that occurs. You could be in it. You could not be in it.
Are there cuts? Does it have music?
Most dreams are not some sort of chronological story. It's like there are cuts in dreams. It happens. Like, it's just not like a well-edited masterpiece you're watching. It's a dream.
I have smash cuts in my dreams I wrote down.
Anyway, we were talking about the noosphere at some point on the show. I don't remember when, but it's like sort of like genetic memory. How do like butterflies that have like 4 reproductive cycles in one migration remember exactly where to go, even though they've never been there and they're never going there, et cetera, et cetera. And that maybe there's some sort of shared knowledge. So maybe like whatever mechanism we have for recording that stuff and adding it to that knowledge pool, maybe something triggered because it was weird that Iggy the Crow came into the garage. And then when the boy entered into a similar like quantum position, it like activated that piece of genetic memory in his mind. I don't know. Dude,
that's Assassin's Creed 7's plot right there.
Or crows are just harbinger of the afterlife, dude. And the crow was like, I'm watching and always will be. Right? It's like a guardian angel.
But then your neighbor has a crow pet crow. So like,
Right,
I thought it was
it's
something-
watching. It always will be.
It was a
dude.
symbol. It was a symbol, but then it's like so literal.
Yes,
because
I thought,
it's like
this is
literal.
a symbol of death or something bad. Oh no, his neighbor just had a pet crow.
What if the boy's consciousness was once part of the crow until the crow died, then they had a son, and then
the
it
crow
became the
the
son.
boy.
He's kind of like looking
That's
at
too much.
himself.
That's too much.
Yeah,
The boy imprinted his soul on the crow and sent a soul duplicate through
No,
the
soul
crow.
upgraded
No,
to
too
human
much.
after it died.
All right.
He
all right.
karma dharma'd his way on the wheel up from crow to man. Cool.
We got another dream journal reading here, this time from our test subject, Pat Contri.
Night of Thursday, November 30th. At a party at some big house. It's weird, and there's a semi-orgy going on at the far wall.
Go on.
Like, when I say semi, I mean, like, I don't think I saw insertion but they're
Like
playing
writhing.
around.
It's just a sexy
Yeah,
naked vibe.
There's
going
naked
on.
bodies together.
A den of sin.
Yes. Okay. I am at the large full wall window. Think a high rise apartment, a few stories up. I realized during my time there that my 8-bit DOE SN30 Pro controller is gone, which I have here for show and tell. So you
It's a
can see
very
it.
great controller. It's
Yo,
a Super
that's a
Nintendo
so
controller
good
with
controller,
thumbsticks.
honestly.
So this one in particular, they don't make anymore that has the concave and convex buttons, and it patterns the colors after a Super Nintendo controller. Why is this significant? I had lost this after I moved for like a year and a half, 2 years, and was freaking out. I hate to lose things more than any. That's like my worst fear is losing things.
You like think about where it is when it's gone.
Back to the dream. I realized that the host of the party either took the controller or knew someone at the party who did. I asked him, shorter, bald individual, where it was. Since they knew who took it, I was sure of this. They claimed they didn't know, but they were lying. I knew they were lying. I looked at the window, the full high-rise window, and asked him if he thought it was possible if he can go through it.
Like Tony Montana,
Think like a menacing but calm
like
villain
Tony,
in a movie.
like Tony Soprano. Yeah, you can go out this window. Look at this window. You think you can go out this window?
He nervously laughed and he said he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. I asked him again where my controller was and no response. Then I lose it. And I take his body and throw his bald head, through the window, and it makes a smaller head size hole. So like the head made a hole in the window.
Yeah.
Then I throw his whole head through the hole again to make a larger size hole. So this is like Looney Tune shit.
Right.
Where like
Yeah.
one hit, small, another hit through.
Mhm.
The third time I throw his whole body through the window, and he goes right through and he falls through the ground. Think the end of Final Fight in the arcade.
Yeah.
I start to Alex loves that reference. Deep cut out there. I start to realize it's a dream.
Just picturing that is like so much less grandiose than it would be to actually live it. It's just fun.
I start to realize it's all a dream, and I want to wake up before I end up being arrested because people at the party are now like looking at me. So like I should stop and say that a lot of my dreams, I realize it's a dream and I wake myself up. This is like common all throughout my life, and it's happened here.
When you talk about the bald man, the little bald man, did he look anything like this?
I'm waiting for a ref. Oh, it's a link.
That would be crazy.
No, I don't know who that is. That from an episode? What the hell? That's scary.
That is an infamous man, a little bald man who shows up in dreams, and multiple people have reported seeing him.
But that guy has hair in the picture.
He's like balding.
He's balding. He's
No, my guy was smooth, like Lex Luthor smooth.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's horrifying. That's a really. That's like
many people seem to think like that's one of the episodes we did that led up to this, which is why I thought this was connected.
Yeah.
We were all getting there, but no.
Alex should have told me there was a bald guy that ends up in everyone's dreams.
I promise that I will give you the Michael Douglas in the game experience that you want someday, Jesse. I swear to God.
That's all I want from this world.
I swear I'll give you that. I think this dream is a catharsis for Pat's misplaced aggression towards his missing 8-bit DOE controller. I think that there's an injustice to a missing object that is just so frustrating because there's nothing to be done about something that's lost. You don't know where it is. You can't really look for it. It's gone. It's frustrating because it's gone. And instead of being able to do anything about it, you just have to put it away. So in this case, you go to murder the guy from the This Man drawing, and you smash him through the window over and over again until it becomes ridiculous because it's a moot point. You're never going to be able to get justice for this. But, of course, you found it again, so all is well. Or is that another one?
No, it's the same one, but I found this years ago. So like this, it was not close to me finding the controller. It didn't happen.
You just remembered the feeling of
Your
missing.
brain had pocketed away the frustration and anger.
Yeah, I gave that guy a chance. He didn't tell me. He knew. I knew he knew. I mean, he could have went back to the orgy that happened on the other side of the room, and he didn't.
What do you think? What do you guys think? You think it's just his misplaced aggression for the 8-bit toe?
I mean, Pat already explained that he gets upset when he's losing stuff, missing stuff. So being upset over a guy who he clearly knows has it, and in this dream world being like, I'm done with you, makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Vibes.
Yes, please gloss over the semi-orgy happening.
Well,
We won't have to
that part
examine
is
that.
just like that's
that is just
the
how
id part
Pat
of your
walks
brain.
in the
No,
world.
no. It is very important to the story because we're at a place where there's an orgy, which is like carnal delights, like pleasure, something that most people would never pass up, pleasure. And you walked by it to find your controller. That's how much you wanted that controller.
Getting the controller back is better than sex. Yeah, finding the schmuck who took your fucking
You can
8-bit
get an orgy
controller.
whenever you want. This special out of print, this is an out of stock 8-bit dough controller. It has been made for years. I'm serious.
Maybe Pat just walks through the world like the vampire Armand. Maybe he just moves through it, and
You've tasted pleasure before, and now you only require a controller.
From now on, for the rest of the dreams, I'm just going to imagine that there's a semi-orgy going on everywhere around.
Great.
We have a post for Jesse to read called Night Terrors from Tomby90. It's not quite a dream, but it's a really interesting expansion on some of the topics we touched on in the dream episode, and it's from a very unique perspective. So here we go.
Listen to the 2 newest episodes of Dreams. Wanted to share a bit of my experiences. I'm someone who deals with schizophrenia. And like all people who have it, it's very different depending on the person. My symptoms fluctuate with stress, so the more stress I'm under, the worse it can get. Voices in my ear are constant, though. But essentially, for this post, schizophrenia has been the cause of many night terrors for me, to the point where it takes practically being picked up and thrown to wake me up, where I injure myself by my body clawing scratches into my face as I'm sleeping. Oddly enough, these night terrors always revolve around me facing these inner voices I hear. It always sent me into a dark, unknown void with faceless humanoid figures and an absolute symphony of 1,000 voices where I have to focus all my mental strength into essentially just surviving it and hoping I'll wake up. When I do eventually come to, a lot of the time I'll have to either scratch marks on my face from my own doing, or my body will ache so incredibly horribly that I cannot move for hours after. This has been something that can either happen so often as multiple times a week, or so rare that it happens once or twice a year. In the year since I had schizophrenia, I randomly developed it when I turned 18. I'm now 26. This was at its worst in 2021 and has slowed down recently. With all the talks about dreams being portals, link, or so on, into other realities or even a subconscious one, mine has always felt like I'm going into my brain in my sleep to do battle. Would love to hear thoughts and can share on the pod anytime. Here's the thing I just want to say about this. If you're open to it and you're on the subreddit, I would love to know just what day-to-day is like, because I've always, I've heard about schizophrenia just in general, like, right? And I see there are ads on TV for various medicines and things, but I'm just curious what the day-to-day voice stuff is like. What is that? Is it intrusive to the point of like, I can't do anything? More information would be so welcome. And share if you want to, but like, that's fascinating to me. And just like I would love to know what is.
I can give you a tiny peek into that world, actually. My mom suffered from a lot of mental illnesses, and schizophrenia was one, especially toward the end of like one of her bigger mental breaks. And a lot of it is hearing things that are for her, like every few minutes she would hear down the hallway kids laughing. At one time, she had an entire conversation with me as I walked into the door, came upstairs from work, and then went into my room. While the whole time I was in my room downstairs, and it didn't happen. And it just seems unwildly real. While she was in the mental hospital, she saw a monkey riding a donkey. While we were all sitting in the room with her, visiting her, she would see snakes coming out of the mattress. And all of it is just real as shit. She would hear it. It's audibly like there. Her brain is telling her it's there. Sometimes it's distant, like conversation that she can't quite make out. Other times, like I said, it was full blown conversations with any one of the kids that were living there at the time. Like, yeah, and it was just real. It just felt real.
So, I mean, is this a pure medicine thing, or like, how would you cope, I guess, with the idea of hearing voices in your head and that, like, because I know me personally, I would not be able to do a damn thing all day. I'd be like, what the hell was that?
A lot of medication, and it mostly keeps it down. When things get very stressful, sometimes the meds aren't enough to keep them away, but it's usually like things she can't really understand, not like full-blown ass like hallucinations anymore, but just like voices.
Well, in this dream, 2021, the idea of it getting really bad, it makes perfect sense. I mean, everything was really bad for everyone.
That was the height. Yeah.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to this person because they had night terrors or sleep paralysis.
Oh God, yeah.
And that's happened to me twice in my life. It's the worst. It's the most horrifying. If you never had sleep paralysis out there, it's like a waking nightmare. You're awake, but you can't move. You're asleep, but your body, like your eyes, you can see everything. It's the worst possible feeling. Like it was horrifying. I was sleeping next to my ex and it happened. And like, I was like murmuring, I was like begging for them to wake me up. It was like you hear the stories of people that are in comas, but they are aware of everything. That's like, so this is like the smaller version of that where it's happening. And I think I woke up after like a minute and a half and I was like panic. I had a panic attack afterwards.
I can imagine.
It was like one of the most scared I've ever been in my life.
It's one of the scariest examples of just like how weird and unknowable our brain can be, that it can keep your ass paralyzed while also being like consciously awake.
Yeah, you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
You're paralyzed. It's horrifying. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. What's interesting is like the hallucinations through it. And this goes back to another weird thing, like faceless humanoid figures. A lot of people have theories that at least some alien abduction stories are sleep paralysis.
100%. I would agree.
Because your mind plays tricks on you. You're like aware that you're awake, but your mind's not functioning correctly, and you're seeing weird things happening around you.
One time I was on I'm like a big time plane sleeper, and one time I was on a plane, and I was like leaning forward like this. For some reason, I just slumped forward. But my tongue slumped forward too into my teeth. And at some point when I was dreaming or whatever, I bit down on my tongue real hard. But it wasn't hard enough to like bite it off or whatever, but it was enough to hurt to the point where it woke me up mentally, but my body still wasn't awake. And it might have been mere seconds, but it felt like an eternity. I could not move. I felt the pain on my tongue. I just couldn't do anything. And I was like, move! Like I had to will myself to. It was terrible.
That's happened to me on planes. I think it happens on planes because on planes you're not really getting into a deep sleep to begin with, because all the noises. Right. So it doesn't happen a lot, but I've been on planes where I'm asleep, but I can still hear the murmurings of the plane engines, and I'm still wearing like noise protected earphones, so I know that I'm asleep technically, but I mean barely asleep. And like there's too much stimuli to get me to that deeper sleep where like then I try to wake myself up. I've almost hit the person next to me in a struggle to like wake myself up. It sounds something sort of similar where it's like this is like half sleep. It sucks.
Yeah, I do love in this story. The idea of going in there to fight the voices. I think that's a fascinating idea to have, that you have this thing that in your waking life is harassing you, and so in your dream life you're like, cut that shit out, guys. I think that's super interesting.
If you think about the dream is like something that can connect, like if the brain is like, if we're going to go to the woo-woo side of what we were talking about last time, and like the idea of the brain as like a pathway into some sort of other realm or some sort of
instead of the brain being like a generator of a consciousness, it's like a receiver, like a radio kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If that's the case, and our sort of, day-to-day life, our perception is like, with a typical brain is kind of unified, and people with schizophrenia, though it's different for each person, it's definitely very different from the typical brain's day-to-day experience. And so maybe the dream, like maybe the way that you interact with that other world is very different, and maybe and I know that's just complete woo-woo, but like
the podcast's about, with the back and the forth.
Maybe there's something to that. Like if you're gonna accept that premise of the brain being this thing that connects you, like maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's some.
Maybe it's just like your brain is like, for whatever reason, maybe just the way it grew is just more receptive to other signals, quote unquote, or whatever you want to call it, and it ends up just being weird voices or faces or whatever. Like Yeah, I know for like some people hear voices that tell them to do things, like horrifying things. Some of them good things, some of them bad. It's just, everybody's different.
Also, the idea of dreaming and waking up in incredible pain.
Nuts.
Boy, I can't. In the last year, there's been two times. One time I woke up and I had like a back spasm that kept me out for like a week.
Wrecked, yeah.
And I did nothing. I don't know how
you
it
had a
happened.
dream that coincided with that back pain?
I wish I could tell you. The dreams I do remember are always either really positive or very weird, but nothing like I fought a Goliath and it gave me back pain. I got none of that.
I've been like shot in a dream and like bleeding out, and then I wake up before I like bleed out fully, like that kind of thing, but never like.
Oh.
Yeah, it was by my dad. My dad shot me. He was flying around like Omni-Man, but he had a pistol and he wanted to kill me for some reason. I was hiding in some barrel.
Now, how long was this after you watched it?
Before. I just like compare it because just flying around.
Didn't we do a bit on the show Superman with a gun?
With a gun, yeah, because he was a comic. He was carrying a gun in a comic or something ridiculous.
Yeah, because how stupid it is that he would need a gun.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another reading from our test subject, Pat Contri. This one's a short one.
Night of December 4th. I had a Komodo dragon in a big plastic bag near a station wagon, and I had to get it back to where it belongs. The zoo? ? However,
he's from San Diego.
They have Komodo dragons at the San Diego Zoo. However, my mom was there, and I got upset at her for screwing up the plans. It may have had something to do with the type of bag the dragon was in. So
that's the most dreamy dream I've ever fucking heard.
This was what's so interesting about this document. If I didn't write these down, I would never have been able to recall these.
Yeah.
Like Alex, you could have written this down, and I would have been like, you just wrote this down. This didn't happen in my dream. But now that I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, I think this happened.
Well, that's cool too. I'm very curious.
In your real life,
apparently, the more you write dreams down, the more likely you are to remember them more. And I've always wanted to. I should just start doing it, honestly.
So, like, literally, I wrote down 14 of these dreams. I think I remembered, without recalling this document, about 4 or 5 of them. Like, about a third of them I remembered without reading them. And you're like, oh yeah, now I remember it.
That's cool, though.
Are you a kid in this dream?
No, this is modern times, I think.
So you're dealing with your mom, though?
I guess.
She's screwing up the plan to get the Komodo dragon back.
Your mom was there. You got upset at your mom for screwing up the plans.
She screwed up the plan with the Komodo. My mom appeared in, I think, 1 or 2 of these other dreams as well.
Was it your station wagon?
Not sure. I'm not sure whose station wagon was. This was a very quick dream. Like, this wasn't like some of the ones that were elaborate that are like take like 10 minutes. This is like a 30-second dream.
Yeah.
Where this is like in and out, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's like a quick feeling, right? But curiously, 2 nights later, you had this other dream, and the Chilluminati were wondering if maybe the two are related.
Night of December.
But maybe not.
Night of December 6th.
Yeah, maybe not.
Was that some sort of outdoor social event and gathering? I get approached by Elon Musk, threatening to tweet something bad about me because of my opinions about him. I assured him that I was not tweeting anything bad about him and showed him my phone. He calmed down and we BS'd about something while I looked around.
You don't have to worry about it anymore. There's like nobody on Twitter anymore, so he killed that place. He tweeted about him.
All the comedians are gone.
Yeah.
Is that right? Where are they posting? Blue Sky? Where is that?
I don't know. It's really a central place anymore. I think it kind of got scattered.
Yeah, there's way too many now. Frankly, I'm fine with it. I'm excited. Decentralized social media. Let's go.
I feel like being on social media, and follow me here, is kind of like trying to return a Komodo dragon to the zoo.
I like that. Yes.
Yes. It's a non-starter.
I genuinely became a happier person when I removed TikTok from my phone like a year ago.
Please tell me that the dream of 12/31 New Year's is going to be brought up later.
It is not because it was long, but if you want to like tell it,
I will tell without, because it has to do with my mom coming back again. All right, this is the night of New Year's Eve, December 31st. I'm in line for some event with my mom. My mom shows up again. Something semi-posh with circular tables and chairs like you see at a gala or a wedding reception. In line to greet us is the former president and always con man, Donald Trump. My mom asks if she wants to have my picture taken with him. I say, wouldn't you rather have your picture taken? Since she probably voted for him. We then sit down at a round table in the back before moving to a stadium concert-style seating for a showing of Jesus Christ Superstar. I believe
Trump would not be at that show.
I believe I had heard this show mentioned earlier in the week, ? So maybe in my mind.
Okay.
So we are sitting there, and someone hits a baseball up to us, which I catch. Transition to us being back at a round table, and people are giving out little stocking stuffer style gifts to each other, like cards and mini board games. Frank is now there and gets a deck of cards, not playing cards, but he says he does not have the other pieces and board to use with it, so he cannot play. And that's where the dream ends. A lot going on there.
So Frank is Pat's like friend from around the block, right? That's just for the odd listener.
He's known as like my Doc Brown in my videos, basically.
Yeah, he's like
older
a
friend.
Guy from New Jersey. Yeah,
Love it.
Older hippie from Jersey.
Love it.
Okay, sorry. That was like a 2-part with my mom's in that dream as well.
That's hilarious. That was great.
What is going on here? You're at. I feel like you're equating like a sports game with a show. Like maybe there's something about the essence.
No, I believe at the right before intermission,
Joseph
Jesus hits a home run.
right,
I'm pretty sure that
into
happens.
the crowd.
Yeah.
It's a Louisville
That's
Slugger.
the superstar part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The grandest slam. He got 5 runs for his grand slam somehow.
But the people on the base, they represent our souls, guys. Okay, and home, that's
awesome.
heaven.
Damn. All 12 of his teammates made it back. It was great.
You know that feeling, right, of being like in a crowd of people? I feel like there's like a liminal element to a lot of the experiences that we do as humans that are hard for us to grok. And as a kid, those things can be very like basic things, like going to the bathroom at a grocery store and you walk through those big double doors and suddenly you're in the like ugly part of the grocery store that's got like the loading dock and like some guy like and you know like the old bakery goods on the side, and you try to walk to the bathroom and you're like 6 years old, and for like ever now like the back room of a grocery store will like mystify you a little bit. Like I feel like maybe there's something to the feeling of being in a crowd of people that can be somewhat overwhelming.
Alex, you want to like tell us something did anything happen in the back of a weird grocery store one time to you that you just can't?
No, not at all.
What is going on in your head today, Mathis?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't think about the back of a grocery store where an old man hacks and coughs and is a weird, dangerous place. I never once thought of the back of a grocery store to be that place.
Or what about like when you're driving through like the downtown district and it's nighttime and there's no one there and you look outside your car and you're like, what the fuck is that place? You know what liminal space is, right? It's just like a place that you don't understand what it is when you're too young to understand what it is, and it just sticks out in your mind. Everybody has weird ones. I always mention the bathroom at a grocery store because it's a common one for people, because it's like a place you can go in a grocery store, but it's just like weird and it doesn't make sense with the rest of the grocery store if you're like 8. But I feel like there's something to crowds like that. I feel like there's something kind of anxiety inducing about crowds. I feel like there's something anxiety inducing about being in a round table with relatives. I don't know. Something like that. Maybe some sort of essence of just a lot of overwhelming thoughts peppering you at once. Let's jump back over to the subreddit. We got another dream from Turbulent. This is a recurring dream from Turbulent Pitch, and this is going to be from Mathis to read.
I have a recurring dream that I've had for at least 15 years. It sticks with me because it hardly ever changes. I'm laying in a dirt coffin. I'm looking from the bottom where the dirt is flat. There's shovels of dirt being thrown onto me. I can't speak and I can't move. My vision zooms in on the people surrounding the dirt coffin hole, and everyone is turned around. Everyone that is around the coffin hole is just chucking the dirt on me from over their shoulder. Once my sight is completely covered, I wake up. The only thing that ever changes is the people that are shoveling dirt. I don't know who they are. I can never recognize them. I wake up in a panic, which takes a while for me to calm down. I can't really classify it as being a death dream because I'm quite sure I'm not dead in the dream. I would love to know what anybody thinks of this.
Wow.
Can I interpret it in one word?
Sure.
FOMO.
Fear of missing out. Yeah, okay.
Fear of missing out, really?
You're in the grave. You can't get out of the grave. You're looking from the bottom. You're down in the grave, and people are just throwing dirt on you. You can't talk. You can't move. You can't see who's throwing the dirt on you. You're being ignored by somebody for sure. You can't tell who it is. It's shutting you out. It's putting you away. But you're not dead. Like they're making it very clear that this isn't a death dream for them. They're saying this is just a sensation. This is like something that I'm alive and experiencing. And I feel like one way of looking at it is like a FOMO vibe.
You could take that idea and take the idea of missing out to, because it changes every time, right? There's different people throwing the dirt. It could be that it's a fear that, different friends group or different people are moving on without you, and you have no say in that. which could also be FOMO kind of.
Do you have sleep apnea? Check for that as well.
Whoa, what does that mean?
Sleep apnea? Oh, it's a.
No, I mean I know what sleep apnea
Dude,
is. I'm saying, like,
that's how I found out. I fucking had it recently. It was like I started having
a dream like this.
I had a terrifying dream that made me wake up in a panic, and I realized I was like gasping for breath at the same time. I thought I was really fucking scared, and then it happened again, and I was told I haven't been snoring, which is like a new thing. I haven't often snored before, but I have been for the past like year or so. And the dreams are coinciding with my body waking me up because I'm not breathing, because that's what sleep apnea is just like
interesting.
You're almost dying. Sleep apnea means you're almost dying.
Yeah, you need to fucking get up.
What about the people? What about the people throwing the dirt though?
I saw this as like you're disconnected from something happening in your life. Like that's the way I look at it. Like
sure,
you're not seeing the faces of the people. You're being covered up. I feel like you obviously when you're in a hole, you want to get out. I feel like there's some disconnect happening in this person's life,
or low self-esteem, like you're putting yourself underneath, like your life is out of your control, kind of deal.
That's all as far as I'm going to interpret that one.
Yeah, that's a kind of scary one. 15 years is a long time to have a recurring dream.
And being buried alive, man, that's just scary in and of itself.
We got another one from our test subject, Pat Contri here. One thing that the Chilluminati wanted me to point out was the prevalence of celebrities and brand names found in his dreams from here on out. We're catching up to the present now. Here's another one from Pat. Bing, bong, bing.
Night of March 8th. I was a younger student in some prep/Catholic school. I was walking around in a bus talking to a student, and I saw my handyman there, who was acting as a teacher/coach. Later, I'm walking around an area with a bunch of students, and Richard Belzer shows up, he's playing a teacher, and saying that I have to avoid drama, and that I'm only looking out for myself. I answered that I always had the best interests of a certain person at heart. At this point, I felt it was like I was acting as a character in a TV drama. So I walk up the hill of a street where I grew up, a reoccurring location over the years in my dreams. And I see a younger Rosario Dawson, who was a student at the school. Here, she was aged like a high schooler. I asked her if everything was all right, but she kept about 15 feet away and said not to get closer since she looked bad and didn't have makeup on. I told her she was being silly, and she took a step back as I tried to get closer. An alternate part of the dream had me walking around some flea market or fair event. I walked inside a trailer shop, and there was an elderly couple selling electronic devices. They showed me a small colored ball that worked off some form of magnetism where it projected itself and then would fly back to you. Like almost like an automatic boomerang, but it's a ball. They showed me a demo video of someone using it in the desert. It seems like a nice toy. And that was it.
I must stress this. If there was ever anyone on planet Earth who could show up in your dreams, Detective Munch would be the guy to do it. I must stress that man crossed television shows. He can do anything.
Real quick, the Rosario Dawson, before I get in trouble. I have she's on my crush list, Rosario Dawson. We share the same birthday. I have a signed Rosario Dawson comic book.
You don't need to explain this to anyone.
I'm just saying, that's where that comes from. That's nothing, like if I will shoot my shot with Rosario Dawson if I ever meet her and get dragged away by security. Like that.
I would applaud it.
Frank actually talked to Rosario Dawson at Comic-Con back when you could still like talk to celebrities without them getting mobbed in like the mid 2000s. I was not there. If I had, I would have been dragged away by security. But that's an aside. The electronic toy thing is interesting. Obviously, I like the retro games, the flea markets. That's sort of its own thing. I did go to.
There's a show where he goes to flea markets, by the way, and like shops at flea markets.
It was like one of the first ever shows of its kind, like going out and buying shit, Flea Market Madness, going back like 2009-10. So that makes sense, right? Richard Belzer is interesting, but I always see every month or two on YouTube or Twitter the clip when he hosted a show when Hulk Hogan put him in a face lock and knocked him out and dropped him on his head, cracked his head up, and he sued the WWF for millions of dollars. So that always replays like it gets shown to me every couple of months. Have you seen that clip? You never saw that clip, Alex?
I did not know that occurred. That sounds impossible.
No, it happened.
Algorithms are so fucking unique to you now.
So this happened.
What
This was
the
like during the
fuck?
rock and wrestling era. This is pre-WrestleMania era, 84-85, when they were just getting, national with Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T. He was on Richard Belzer's late night show with Mr. T, and he brings up, "Oh, is wrestling fake?" And Hogan's like, "I'll show you a real wrestling move." And Richard Belzer really stupidly agrees to this, and he puts him in a guillotine choke, front face lock, while they're standing up. Richard Belzer was knocked out within like 8 seconds. Hogan stupidly drops him. So he goes head first into the ground, smacks his head, is concussed, somehow gets up, says, "We'll be right back." And somehow it was like instinct, but you can see the blood coming down his head. And then he sued and got like $1 million back then, like 40 years ago.
The part of the brain where it becomes to just say, "We'll be right back" as instinct.
Do you think that's why he's in this dream, or do you see him as like an authority figure who would give you advice?
No, I never looked up to Richard Belzer. He does fine as Detective Munch. I just think it's one of those things where, I could picture him being a high school teacher, though. I had high school teachers with that personality.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
With that gruff yet kindish personality. Yeah, that happens.
So maybe you're just seeing your early life as a movie. Maybe you're like kind of like rewriting your life into like the OC.
I am really curious about the handyman bit, because the handyman coach thing. You talk to this guy, like, does he offer you sagely advice?
No, but he's very friendly, and I play poker with him. And like he kind of has the demeanor of like he'd be like a kindly high school teacher that also coached like the basketball team. So I'm like, oh, he kind of
does he ever give you inspirational speeches that definitely are from a movie?
No, but he's like a kinder guy, like in his 60s that I'm friends with.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just like,
sure,
that makes sense. I didn't. This is now going into my psyche. This is a therapy session. I didn't have a lot of positive.
I was about to say a positive male role model. Yeah,
I did not have them growing up. I did not have a lot of positive male role models. Older, like
except for Munch.
So it's like, well, this guy could have been if I was like a high schooler.
It's good, like a coach vibe. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe Rosario Dawson is the magnetism ball. No,
don't sully Rosario Dawson in my mind.
In the flea market of life.
Don't try to simplify.
In the flea market of life, maybe Rosario Dawson is just that floating boomerang magnetism ball.
That's the thing from Men in Black that goes touch it and bounces all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I forgot about that. This one's called, get ready for it, My Recurring Ballerina Werewolf Dream.
I am already in.
Here we go.
I'm so ready. Hello, all. The following is a description of a rather short dream that I had many times as a child. In the dream, I would always be around age 7 or 8, and it would start with my mom leading me by the arm through a set of double doors. Instinctively, I would know that I was being led into a ballet studio because my mom thought it would be a good extracurricular activity for me. I was not pleased at all to be there because I didn't really like dancing, and it's my time 7-8-year-old brain thought ballet was for girls. Despite my feelings, I was still pulled inside the ballet studio, which looked more like your average school gymnasium, and encountered the only other two people present besides my mother and I. Another adult woman, who I assumed was the ballet instructor, and a little girl standing next to her wearing the classic pink tutu getup. They stood at complete opposite end of the studio in a sort of mirrored stance to my mother and I, and neither party made any move to close the distance. As my mother and the instructor started speaking across the long, echoing expanse of the studio, I locked eyes with the little girl. I don't think I thought anything was off about her, but we just locked eyes and my mother's conversation kind of fades out. Then, moments later, the little girl transforms almost instantly into some kind of werewolf creature with shredded pink tutu still around its waist. The werewolf girl brutalizes the ballet instructor in a ludicrously fast Tasmanian devil-esque fashion, and then crosses the length of the studio in the blink of an eye and lunges for me. I don't know where my mom goes. I think she just disappears after the werewolf transformation happens, but I'm not sure. The length between the girl's transformation and her lunging at me is maybe 2 seconds total. I typically wake up immediately after the lunge occurs, but sometimes I think it just triggered the next dream to start. I had this dream many times randomly throughout my childhood, with it starting to happen less and less into my teen years. It last occurred during high school, but felt more like my brain doing a greatest hits dream dream show rather than the true actual dream, if that makes any sense. Feel free to read this on the pod because I'd love a Jesse interpretation.
Oh man, I got it right here. I got it right here for you.
I would feel like the idea of the. Let me go back to the beginning. Was this actually a thing that you did? You actually went to ballet, or
It was a dream.
This is something that would just happen in the dream? Because I feel like maybe the monster represents the way you feel towards ballet as it being like a threatening thing or something that is scary.
If you become a ballerina, you know, like the werewolf will, you know, like you get bit by the werewolf, you turn into a werewolf. If you start taking ballet classes, you will turn into a ballet monster as well.
I mean, this also could be the line here that when I was 7 or 8, I thought that ballet was just for girls. It could also be like, if I take ballet, I will become some sort of monster kind of thing.
I'm not taking it as literal as ballet. I think the ballet is a stand-in for something larger. It's something maybe their life is they're being dragged in a direction of life they don't want to be, or they're not in control of. And then obviously something lashes out, could be their real feelings about what they're going through. So that's how I see that.
Yeah, I feel like ballet, especially for like a 7 or 8 year old boy, it depends on when you grew up too. If you grew up in the 80s, ballet is like a boy was
no way. Yeah.
What? And so I would imagine that, it could be a stand-in for something that is equally as not just scary, but something that you think would change how you define yourself completely, almost change you into a monster, like that kind of vibe.
If you have it as a recurring dream, right? It's probably because it especially like something that was like often in your youth and like less as you get older, as you get to be a more independent person, you know, like maybe just that leash being lengthened is kind of cool and kind of the thing that's making the dream go away. You know what I mean?
I like that dream. I mean, it's horrifying to go through, but I like that premise. That's a nice, interesting premise.
It's a nice, straightforward analysis, right? I like that.
Nice creative dream.
Yeah. Speaking of creative dreams, we're going to close out the show that I was required to present by my mysterious, relaxed yet unseen overlords. We have one last dream from our test subject, Pat, which was recorded just last week. So let's see what's going on with that one.
Night of March 20th, 2024. I'm in a car going down a hill on the left side of the street. There's a car parked there in front of me for some reason down the hill. I cannot turn the wheel, and for some reason, I'm freezing when trying to push the brake with my foot. I apply the handbrake, but I'm ready to slam into the car, but then it gently stops as it hits the car. I get out of the car bewildered. Some old guy across the street comments something that I cannot remember. I walk a little bit away from the car in the street. I am now in a hotel hallway on the outskirts of a giant hotel lobby with big plants and maybe a waterfall or something else in the center of the structure. Picture, guys, like a big hotel, but on the outskirts, there's like all around it, there's like rooms on the bottom floor. I've seen hotels like this in Vegas. There are. So that's where I'm at, basically. Something like that. So I'm waiting there at this hotel, at the outskirts of the hotel lobby. It's like hallways. It's all youngerish men waiting in this hotel lobby. It turns out this building is the inside of some sort of JCPenney, and everyone is waiting for the store to open. It turns out this is a department store I'm in. They're waiting for the store to open since they're waiting to buy the Nintendo Switch remastered NBA Hang Time.
I get it, though. I get the wait.
Very realistic.
My cousin is there, who I used to talk to about retro video games and go to flea markets with back in New Jersey. I'm wondering how I missed out on this pre-order, and I don't think I'll be able to buy one due to the demand. I am now in the hotel lobby, which is a little bit away from the hallway, at a long table with chairs on one side. I sit at the chair at the end of the table next to a woman with dark hair right to my left. I'm afraid to even look at her to see what she really looks like, let alone talk to her, so I look down at my cell phone the whole time. An announcement is made over some sort of like loudspeaker, last call for boarding or something. I turn to her and she says, look at me, well, goodbye. And I smile back at her and that's it.
I bet you that was Rosario Dawson.
No, it wasn't. It was a white woman. It was a white lady.
Damn,
I would have talked to Rosario. Next, I encounter, this is like to the left of the table. Next, I encounter two businesswomen in their 50s-ish discussing the NBA Hang Time release and how they are in trouble. Apparently, they work for Nintendo and could not produce or procure enough physical copies since they didn't order enough of the small little Switch memory cards. I say to them, how did you not order enough? You knew this game was coming and was going to be a big hit. They just shrugged their shoulders at me.
Very, very realistic Pat comment. Yeah.
Now I'm at a TV playing/watching a demo of this new NBA Hang Time game. The animation seems more fluid, but it's really the same game. They reveal a new character to the game, a special character, which is Santa Claus. He arrives in a separate screen. Let's picture a separate cutscene on a small train. The train was like moving away from me, like ending at a station. But it's like a children's train that Santa's riding on, like when you see in the mall.
Like he's too big. He's way too big for the train.
For this children's train. It's pulling into the station. He's drawn like a 30s/40s Warner Brothers cartoon,
like a Cuphead vibe or like a Looney Tunes vibe.
Warner Brothers. So he's drawn like 30s, 40s Warner Brothers cartoon. Now I'm watching him on the court hooping and dunking, like I'm playing it next to someone playing it because NBA Jam and Hang Time had special characters. So that literally was last night.
Incredible. That's a great dream.
You know what this reminds me of? Like, just like Pat, the reason I know Pat is because we go way back on the like retro circuit. Like back in the day, like our summers were just like going to a lot of conventions in the middle of the country, mostly
gaming conventions, and
like retro ones specifically. And the vibe, if you haven't been to one, you might not know what this is like because the retro conventions are not like PAX East or something like that. They're just in general like a smaller size situation, and it's very like casual. You can like hang out. We're very much more the main reason people are there at the convention, at these conventions. Sometimes when it was a longer time ago, when we were kind of like younger content creators, you know, like people would like look at us in the lobby, and we'd be in the lobby till late in the night talking about video games with a lot of people. And I don't know, something about this whole situation feels like specifically like the fucking lobby of the hotel in Arlington, Texas, next to the fucking Texas Ranger Stadium. I don't know why.
That's not a bad sort of like interpretation of it. It really is not. But obviously the NBA Hang Time thing is because I've been working on an N64 book for over 3 years now, and it's dominated my life. And I actually wrote the NBA Hang Time review. It's a 5-star game. Spoilers. It's a fine game.
It's better than NBA Jam. Yeah, I'll give it. I'll give it that.
It's the real spiritual sequel with the same Midway team from NBA Jam Tournament Edition. Acclaim had acquired the NBA Jam name by that point and ruined it with their games on the N64 and PlayStation. That aside, I can explain that. I'm not so sure about the woman sitting next to me that I was afraid to look at. That's what was sort of interesting to me.
I have an explanation for this.
Okay.
So like another thing about retro conventions is that on the creator side, it's still a very like penis-y place. Like it's very like Sausage Fest vibes, I would say. A lot of the vibe in like the retro scene is like a little bit more. It's a little bit more like how gaming used to feel before it became something that crossed gender lines so well. The like, you know, gaming's for boys, not girls kind of vibe is like not. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement across. I just feel like that energy is more present because it's about a time in video gaming where that was the vibe. And maybe kind of like being in that culture, maybe, you know, there being a mature woman next to you with a real job who's like, she's a businesswoman, you know, maybe you don't want to like reveal this side of yourself to
reading my notes. Never said she was a businesswoman sitting next to me that was mature, and I think you're throwing your own interpretation.
Oh, I'm just mixing the two.
You're mixing up.
There are other businesswomen.
But that's interesting.
A woman with dark hair.
That's actually interesting because my last ex did know all about my game collection and stuff. However, there was a woman that I went on a date with back when I lived in New Jersey, where on our second date, we came back to my garden apartments and she saw my shelves of games and said to me, almost directly in quotes, "Wow, this is some 40-year-old virgin stuff." Never saw her again. But I'm not that. I mean, but like most women wouldn't be like that anymore. This was like 2000. That was like 2006. So
yeah, sure. But man, I mean, like I don't know, something about it. And then the fact that, like, while you're there trying to talk to this woman, trying to look at this woman, you get a boarding call announcement, which is like another thing that's like in the summer, we used to do like 12 conventions in like 5 months. I don't even know how the hell we used to do that, but we would just go all over the place. I've gone to conventions like exactly like this with Pat in Norway. Like it is crazy.
What about Santa? What's your interpretation of Santa being a playable character?
Santa. Here's my interpretation of Santa. Santa is exactly the fucking type of character that would be in fucking NBA Hang Time. If I didn't have the money to license a fucking character and I wanted to put a character, if I didn't have the money to license a character and I want to put a new character in NBA Hang Time, you bet your fucking ass I would put Santa, and he fucking would show up on a tiny. He fucking would. And if I put on big head mode, that shit would look funnier.
I do not think Santa was in it. Obviously, some Mortal Kombat characters were in a lot of the people from Midway. I'm looking for Santa. Control F on GameFAQs, and I don't see Santa showing up. So
Santa could have fucking been in there.
I'm telling you, he should have been in there.
That would have been great.
In this, if you're gonna bring Hang Time to Switch, you got to put Santa in there.
No, I want a remastered version. But that is something I thought about. Why we haven't had the last NBA Jam update was like 11 years ago.
I remember Peanut Butter Gamer won a contest so he could write something that the announcer would say.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I forget what he said, but it was damn. I'm old, man. That's our show today. I really had a good time doing this. I've been talking to Pat about this type of stuff for a while now. I want to tease that also he has prophecies and his family has latent psychic abilities.
Wait a second. I think you went way overboard with what I was explaining to you.
He's got dire prophetic visions of the future that we all need to be worried about what he says in them because he's seen some shit. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I had one prophetic dream I thought I was going to be able to tell, but okay. Next time, I guess.
No, let's.
No. That isn't this episode at all. Those were the other episodes that were connected to this episode, but this isn't that episode he said at the beginning.
There's no twist. What are you talking about? There's no twist.
Frustrated.
Why is it always a twist? What precedent have I set for
you? Why, it's always a twist with you, so we're confused.
This was just
You have M. Night Shyamalan does so much we expect the twist, and the fact that we're not getting one is a disappointment.
It's weird because when we get the twist, it's not as satisfying as it used to be.
M. Night Shyamalan, no, I agree.
But without the twist, it's like less. I don't know. I don't feel
now
finished.
Now we're just sad.
So you're saying that Alex is in his Avatar portion of his M. Night Shyamalan?
No, that was the Greenstone trilogy.
No, he's in the one where the planets
Avatar.
kill people.
What was the thing? The anime.
The Happening.
Airbender. Oh, Last Airbender.
Yeah, Avatar.
Which means
that was the one
for the split era of Alex soon.
We're past Lady in the Water.
Pat, tell everybody where they can find you, how to get themselves a copy of a certain Ultimate Nintendo Guidebook, including the upcoming Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 Library, which is out this summer, right? Sometime this year?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter if people are still there at Pat the NES Punk. I'm also, I got a podcast with my partner Ian, the Completely Unnecessary Podcast. We're doing it for over 10 years. One of the OG gaming podcasts, you can say, independent ones. And yeah, this will be my third Nintendo guidebook coming out. I've done an NES one, a Super Nintendo one, and now an N64 one coming out in the summer, and you can find them
I'm in it
at ultimatenintendo.com. And Alex wrote a nice article for it. He actually wrote two, but I had to leave one out because it was too bizarre.
One of them was too weird.
One was too weird for the book.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to, because there is no restraints on too weird for Alex on Chilluminati, so I'm curious how weird it was.
It was
okay, I'll tell you.
No.
It was a totally deadpan writing of an investigation by an X-Files type organization about weird things happening in N64 games. But he did it seriously.
Oh, that was
case number.
See, that was him doing what Chilluminati told him to do, just by he had to do it because this is his job. But
I'm starting to think there is no Chilluminati. This might all just be Alex losing his mind.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty sure there's a real Chilluminati because the most chill seems like a really cool guy. And I don't know. That's just, I'm into that.
Talk to you in codes? Do you have to go on weird websites to find out information about it?
No, we just get chili bowls, saltines. We hang out.
You've met him?
I think so.
Dude, a chili bowl should be weed. It shouldn't be fucking actually chili.
No, that's what it means. It's
chili and bowls. That's what we call it. We call it chili bowl. It's
cool.
a sesh.
A bong filled with chili. Oh, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah,
that'd be
we just
smoked
that. We smoked that chili straight up. Nope, straight to the dome.
Where are we going to go do right now, Alex?
What am I going to go do right now? I'm going to go continue researching my 6-hour-long Zodiac Killer episode. That's what I'm going to do.
We're going to do a mini-sode over at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you next week. We love you. Appreciate you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by the... I don't know who they are. There's two. What? Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer.
No.
Neo and Trinity.
No.
I don't understand, and I probably never will. Let me just tell you right now that there's two Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield.
I'm telling you, I think he literally just looked up famous duos
Cheech and Chong.
and has just been going through the list ever since.
I'm trying to dig deep. Which one of you is Dick Powell?
Me? Your name's Jesse Cox. I want Chilluminati. I want my maker. I want Chilluminati. I want my
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by Alex and Jesse. Like a shooting star across the sky that's actually a UFO.